Brittany from Daily Bread Bakes, and today I'm going to be teaching you how to make bagels at home using fresh milled flour. So we will be walking through the process of mixing the dough, shaping, boiling, and baking so you can follow along and make them yourself. So let's get started. Okay, with fresh milled flour, what we want to do is start with our wet ingredients first, because the fresh milled flour absorbs the wet ingredients much different than your typical all-purpose flour. So I'm going in with 2 cups of water. I have 2 tablespoons of coconut oil, and here you can use honey. That's what the recipe calls for, but I'm just gonna go with 2 tablespoons of coconut sugar. And you mix that in with the wet. And then also you have 1.5 tablespoons. I have active dry yeast. This recipe calls for instant yeast, but I don't have that. So what I have to do to activate the active dry yeast is to mix this together and let it sit for 10 minutes. So our yeast, as you can see, is nice and foamy. It's got some movement to it, so it's activated. So what we're gonna do now, I have not added my salt yet, because just make a note that yeast and salt do not mix. They don't like each other. Adding the salt with the yeast is going to completely deactivate your yeast, and it's not gonna rise. So what I'm gonna do first is I'm gonna add in a couple of cups of this flour, and I'm gonna mix it up, and then I'm gonna add my salt. We'll mix that in, and then we'll go in with our salt. So here's the mixture. I'm gonna go ahead and add our attachments to the mixer, and then we'll keep adding the flour until we get a nice consistent dough. All right, so what I'm doing here is just letting the mixer do all the work. This is going to knead for about 8 to 10 minutes. It's a lot less than the kneading process for a classic sandwich loaf, because bagels are a little bit more dense, so they don't need to be worked as long in the mixer. Alright, so as you can see, our dough has tightened up a pretty good bit. It looks like it's smooth. It is a little bit stretchy. So I'm gonna add this to our glass bowl here. And you want to make sure you grease it with some cooking spray, just to make it easier for yourself to get it out of the bowl. I'm just gonna take it out of here and just kind of pour it back into a ball. And we will leave it in this bowl to rest for 1 hour. So the next process of the bagel making is getting your water ready to boil. So I went ahead and got the water boiling. So now what we're gonna do is add in 2 tablespoons of honey. What this does is it helps with the chewiness, it helps with the shine, and it just helps with the color once it is baking. The honey's a little bit crystallized, but it'll mix in eventually. And then we're gonna go in with 1 teaspoon of baking soda. And this will help with that beautiful brown color and that nice chew. Now, too much baking soda and you're gonna lean more towards like a pretzel. So we're gonna keep the amount of baking soda pretty small to just a teaspoon. So it's time to divide up our dough. So I'm just gonna kind of punch it down a little bit. And we're going to just kind of grease our board here with a little bit of cooking spray, just so it doesn't stick, because it's still a pretty sticky dough. So we want to divide this dough into about probably 12 pieces. So I'm gonna divide those out, and I'm gonna use a scale, or you can just eyeball 12 pieces and see if they're about the same size. I came out to about 3.5 ounces per ball. So while I'm shaping these, I'm gonna keep them under a damp towel just so they don't dry out. So what you wanna do, there are 2 different ways that I've seen do this. I'm no professional, so I'm just going with what works best for me. So what I like to do, what I have found that works best for me, is to kind of roll it out in a log or a worm. And then take it, wrap it around your hand, and just kind of squeeze it with your thumb, your fingers, and then roll it on your nice greased counter. Otherwise it will stick and tear. And you have that. Technique number 2 that I have seen is just taking your thumb and poking it through and just kind of stretching it out with your finger like that. And then you have a bagel shape. Once the bagels are shaped, I like to put them on a sheet tray lined with parchment just so they don't stick. And what I have found easiest for me is transferring the bagel on the parchment to the boiling pot of water. It's just much easier. I'm not indenting it with my fingers or kind of deflating it. So that is what has helped the most for me. As you can see, our honey has liquefied and we've got this nice, beautiful color, which is gonna give the outside of our bagels that nice golden color. So I'm gonna go in with probably 3 bagels a piece. You see how easy it is to just kind of transfer them in from the parchment. And then what we will do is let these boil for 30 seconds on each side, and then we'll transfer them to a towel to just blot them a little bit dry, and then to a baking sheet. These are ready to come out of the water. So what I like to do is just kind of blot it on a towel just to kind of get the underneath dry, and then transfer it to a parchment lined baking sheet. Our bagels are nice and boiled on both sides. So what we do now is brush with some egg wash. You don't want to skip this step because you want them to brown nicely in the oven. So we'll egg wash these, and then you can top with cheese. You can top with this everything bagel seasoning, which is really great. And then they go in the oven at 375 for about 12 minutes. Could be a little bit more just depending on the size of your oven.